So we just got done watching Psycho, one of my favorite movies. Let's just jump right into initial thoughts, and I'll start off. I love Hitchcock, and this is my favorite movie by him, so I was very excited to watch it, and it still gave me, it still made me jump at scenes, even though I knew it was coming, and I loved it. William?
This film I was not as impressed with as Vertigo. I'm gonna go out and say it. I've seen it before. It's good. It's a very good film. Obviously, it's famous, but at some point, I think there were just with some scenes I was not as impressed as I usually am. I've seen it before. It's a good film. It's a good film. Great film. Well done. Excellent. But definitely not as well thought out, deep, or as well done as Vertigo was.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with Starkov here. I prefer Vertigo a little bit more. Um, yeah, it's probably a better thriller, but I felt like a lot of the scenes were not as subtle as in Vertigo, and a lot of the, I don't know, it wasn't as deep, basically.
Okay. I'm very angry now. Anyways, I mean, at least you are using another Hitchcock movie to saying that's better.
Also, not as good as Juno.
I hate you.
Somebody had to say it.
Now two people hate you. All right. Let's talk about our favorite scenes. Who wants to start off?
I want to start. My favorite scene is when Norman invites Marion into the parlor to give her dinner and things, because there's not a lot that goes on in the scene. It's pretty much just a back and forth, but it's very, very well done, and you get a lot of Norman's character from just those 3 or 4 minutes where they're talking in the parlor and talking about taxidermy, and Marion sort of prods at the parts of Norman's personality that are most sensitive. She asks about his mother and suggests that he leave her, and you see that these things really, really affect him, and so you get a lot of Norman's character without Hitchcock having to tell you that he's psychotic and that he has this bizarre psychological connection with his mother, and yeah, it's a really great scene, and it's also very well filmed. There's a lot of very hard shadows. It's a very, very intense scene.
Yes.
Without a lot of action.
I definitely agree with the shadows. The lighting was a very important part of this movie.
If I had to maybe tie it down to a certain line, I would say probably when he's talking about how each of us sets our own personal traps, and there's nothing we can do to get out of them. We just sort of claw around at the walls and each other.
My favorite scene would be a tie between both murders that we see in the movie, the shower scene murder and the murder of the detective. The shower scene is obviously, arguably the most iconic scene of film history, and that's saying a lot. I tried counting how many how many cuts there were, and it went so fast that I couldn't even tell. But even though there are, let's say, 50 or so cuts, probably more, it still flowed perfectly, and it's probably at the time, the most suspenseful scene to ever have been shown. Also, the detective scene where he gets murdered. When I first saw that, I completely freaked out. It was just completely well done. They also used the push-pull vertigo effect while he was walking up the stairs, and it gives that sense that something is about to happen, and it's done very subtly so. So that's why I love both of those scenes.
What do you guys think was the sort of defining feature of Psycho?
I don't think it's easy to say that there's just one defining feature, but if I had to choose, I would definitely say the whole creepiness about Norman, just that whole, the whole fact that he's hiding something. There's something between him and his mom that the audience doesn't find out till the very end.
I'd have to agree. I think it's the dialogue specifically about Norman that makes this movie. It's a brilliant film, otherwise, but I think the dialogue that Norman participates in, the lines that are written for Norman, and the way that I'm not actually sure who the actor is, Anthony Perkins. Anthony Perkins brings across to the character is done in such a great way, and the writing is fantastic for that character specifically, because Norman, you get all of the character traits that are eventually revealed to you concretely in the end by the police psychologist, without ever having to have them revealed to you concretely. You get all of the things just by what he says and how he says it. That's what I think makes this movie special.
I don't know. I would say that the defining feature of this film would probably be that the way in which the scenes are so finely crafted to express a sort of theme of, I don't know, sexuality or whatever. I don't know. At the very beginning of the film, we open up on Marion and Sam in bed in their underwear, and I don't know. From there on in, there's like you sort of, I don't know. You're introduced to Marion, who's a very sort of independent, strong woman, but who decides to steal money, and she goes on steal this money so that she and Sam can be together. And I don't know. She makes these decisions herself, but as she's running away, she sort of enters into this, I don't know, basically paranoia that she's being followed by, I don't know, being sort of forced upon by the men that surround her, like the police officer who's basically absolutely expressionless, or the used car salesman who's constantly pestering her for questions and stuff. And she ends up in this motel where she meets a, I don't know, pretty shy, handsome guy, but I don't know, she's, after running into all these strong, really oppressive men, she's lets her guard down, and then she's basically killed by a man dressing up as a woman. And I don't know.
I don't think that's she lets her guard down, and
well, maybe not.
No, I mean she obviously has some affection for Norman. I mean, you can see it in the scene that I don't think she's sexually attracted to Norman. I don't think that's what I'm getting at, but I think she sort of has a respect for him in the same way that a woman her age would have for like a child or something like that. She doesn't feel threatened by him. She thinks he's a nice guy who just doesn't get a lot of traffic on the road. And in reality, that is sort of who Norman is. And when her sister goes through Norman's stuff, you see that he's really very, very, the Norman that we've known is just a child who grew up being oppressed by his mother. And I think there is a contrast between, she definitely trusts Norman more than she does the other men that she's been introduced to thus far in the movie. She's very guarded until she meets him, and she decides to have dinner with him, and
which is the irony of the situation, that he's kind of the first person you see that she trusts on her escape when she's trying to flee with the money, but ultimately Norman is the reason why she meets her doom.
Yeah. And then you see scenes like the shower scene. We all agreed that it was really impressive how Hitchcock edited it so that there was absolutely no, I don't know, there was no
continuity or
blatant nudity.
Blatant nudity.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. We'll say that there was no blatant nudity. And I don't know, just the way, I know this has been remarked in practically every reviewer's conversation, but review of this movie, but the way that he kills the woman is done through sort of slashing movements.
Mm-hmm.
There's no thrusting or penetrating.
Mm-hmm.
Although later on, when he kills the man, it's definitely much more slashing, and there's actually blood that goes onto his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you do see blood in the shower scene as well.
Well, I mean, you see blood, but not on her body.
I think, Dan, are you getting at the Freudian the sexual
Yes, I'm getting at.
penetration act? There we go.
Yes, I am. Okay, but I mean, like, I feel like that's what this movie's about, and so I feel that it is really the defining feature of this movie.
I see that. Probably not. I wouldn't call it the defining feature of the movie, but I think it's definitely
It's there, but I
It's
don't.
a strong theme. Final thoughts. Psycho is a good movie. It's a great movie. I mean, okay, it's a good movie. It's a great movie. It's a movie that I like to watch and I enjoy, and I think it's very well done. And Hitchcock did a great job with it.
It's a very good movie. I really liked it. I preferred Vertigo more. I wouldn't necessarily say it deserves its spot on the top of the best American films.
I'm just a huge fan of psychological thrillers, and this movie opened my mind to watching movies like it, such as Saw and The Silence of the Lambs, a whole genre that there are very crappy movies, but this is probably the greatest of psychological thrillers or thrillers in general. It was very well done. It's a beautiful masterpiece, and I suggest that you watch it.
She
All right.
knows better.
Thank you.
Thank you.